All right, so this is where we left off yesterday. We only have a few slides left, and then I got a little extra for you guys. So hormones interact to produce coordinated physiological responses. Hormones interactions. So what do you need to know? Well, you need to know what these terms mean. Antagonistic effects, opposite. Synergistic effects, additive. That means they help. Okay? Permissive effects. One hormone is necessary for another to produce its effects. Okay? Integrative effects. Hormones produce different and complementary results. All right? So you need to know those definitions on these, how they work together. So hormones important to growth. Well, growth hormone, thyroid hormone, insulin, PTH, calcitrol, and reproductive hormones. Well, you're not going to grow unless you are born. So that's kind of, yeah, that's a no-brainer. Okay, growth hormone in children and adults. Okay, obviously children, muscular and skeletal development in adults maintains normal blood glucose concentration, mobilizes lipid reserves. So it's no surprise that people who take growth hormones actually burn a lot of fat. Go figure. Okay? Thyroid hormones, well, if absent during fetal development or for the first year, nervous system fails to develop normally. Okay? If T4 concentrations decline before puberty, normal skeletal development will not continue. So these are more homeostatic imbalances than what do they do. Okay? These are more imbalances. Insulin, well, we know that already. Okay? Allows passage of glucose and amino acids across the plasma membrane. Parathyroid, well, this is super important for bone remodeling. Okay? Reproductive hormones, androgens in male, estrogens in female, stimulate growth cells, differentiation in target tissues, produce gender-related differences in skeletal proportions and secondary sex characteristics. Okay? There's a cheat sheet for all of that. Nothing crazy going on there. And again, you know, this is more homeostatic imbalances, clinical implications of endocrine malfunction. So this is imbalances. I'm not going to hold you to it, but it's if you're interested, read over it. It's a good read. Okay. Again, malfunctions. I don't know why they call them malfunctions. They should actually call it imbalances, homeostatic imbalances. Because what are hormones used for? Homeostasis. Okay? Homeostasis. Now, hormonal responses to stress. I'm not sure where the gas came from. Probably the person who had the beans the night before, but yeah, I've never heard it called that before. I have heard it called the stress response all the time. Okay? So, also called stress response, how the body responds to stress-causing factors, is divided into three phases: the alarm phase, resistance phase, and exhaustion phase. Alarm phase, fight or flight. That's how we deal with it. Okay? Resistance phase, well, if a stress lasts longer than a few hours, a person enters the resistance phase, and this is where their body starts changing. Okay? Okay, their body starts changing. Obviously, long-term effects of this will have pretty devastating effects on you. Okay? Increased blood pressure, increased heart rate, increased chemical release. So, not good. And then, of course, exhaustion phase will collapse of vital systems. Okay? Now, when they say collapse of vital systems, let's just go to this right here. Functional damage to vital organs. All right? Remember, stress causes high blood pressure. High blood pressure in short bursts is good for you. Is really good for you. Stress is really good for you in small amounts. In large amounts, what it does is it actually creates excessive pressure. The one organ in your body that cannot take sustained pressure are your kidneys. Renal failure, you're done. 5 days. That's all there is to it.
And that's going to affect people with stress.
Let's That's because it's caused by the stress. Now, I'm not saying if you're stressed out because of a test today that your kidneys are going to fail and you're going to collapse in the hallway. No. Okay? Don't freak out. That's not what I'm saying. It's years of the same stuff. Years of it. Okay? If you go on vacations and you exercise and you take care of yourself and you eat well, no. No. I mean, I get stressed, don't get me wrong. But I exercise, I eat well, I take care of myself, and so that helps alleviate most of it. All right? So the same thing with you. We're talking continuous, non-stop, 7 days a week. You don't get a break for 20 years. Okay? So if you're thinking, I'm so stressed, really, it's a quarter. You get 10 days off, you relax, you find your chi, you're good to go. Okay, so effects of hormones on behavior. Yes, sir, Bob Rooney. Okay, can alter intellectual capabilities, memory, learning, and emotional states. Affect behavior when endocrine glands are over-secreting or under-secreting. Okay, another reason why it's good to exercise and take care of yourself. Right? And some people agree with this and some people don't agree with it, and that's fine, you know. But if you go into literature and research and everything, they've found that, unbelievably, your hormones can be balanced out, your diet can be balanced out with exercise, and you can reset. You can reset hormonal responses. Now, I'm not saying if it's damaged and not producing at all, that by exercising you're going to fix that. You're not, it's damaged. Okay? But what I am saying is if you're leading a way of life that's causing over or under secretion, and you change that over a period of time, you can get better. All right? Aging and hormone production causes few functional changes, decline in concentration of growth hormone and reproductive hormones. Okay, you can stimulate both. Okay, so let's see how we can do this. Mimi, how can we stimulate growth hormones? Growth hormone, how can we do that? How do you think, I mean, what's a simple way to stimulate growth hormones? Supposedly when we get old, they decline. What would happen if I started taking and putting 20 pounds of weight on a bar and doing this? What do you think would happen? My muscles would grow. Well, isn't that weight bearing? So what else is going to grow? My bones, yeah. And notice I said 20 pounds, not 200 pounds. I said 20 pounds. So the muscles are going to grow and the bones are going to grow. So that's growth hormones. As adults, it's what we use to develop muscles and bones, right? Okay. And then I'll go ahead and take this because I don't want to put anybody on the spot with the old reproductive hormone. How about this? Exercising promotes testosterone. Testosterone is a hormone that is directly involved with reproduction. Now, obviously, when you get past that point where you can't do it anymore because, well, everything's done, and I'm mainly focusing on menopause, it's done. It doesn't mean that you can't be sexually active, it just means that at that point you can no longer reproduce. Okay? So it doesn't mean that, okay, when they say reproduction, yeah, making a baby at a certain point, it's going to stop for everybody. All right? But being sexually active at that point, no. I mean, you're 70 years old. That sounds weird, but I know. It's like people cringe. Hey, you know what? Some spry old people out there, you never know. You never know. Okay? So, and then there's kind of an overview of the endocrine system. Okay, and you can use this for what it's worth, but fine print always kills me. You can use it for what it's worth. Endocrine system. Shazam. Now, remember, there are a few things that I mentioned to you guys. Test on Wednesday. We have a test on Wednesday. We have a quiz on Friday of next week. Okay? Some things that I mentioned to you guys. The hormones that I've actually mentioned, their function, like I've gone over it quite a few times, that's going to be on a test. So if you're paying attention in class, you shouldn't have any problems. If you're not, you might want to get with your buddy and try to figure out which ones I put a lot of time into. Okay? So extremely important to actually hold on to that. Now, no, I'm not going to let you go early, and no, we're not done. No, siree. Escape. All right. Okay, I'm sure everybody printed up their blood packet. This is where it just gets downright fun. And if you don't think so, let me enlighten you. Okay? Blood, chapter 19. Fundamentals of anatomy, physiology, blood. Blood. Okay? You like Twilight? Are you a Twilight person? Did you go and camp out in forest? No? Nice. Okay, a little Twilight action going on here. Blood, right? Vampires, you guys know that. The cheesy werewolf dog people. Yeah, that was silliness. I was forced to watch one of those and I almost clawed my eyes out. Blood! Blood. What? It was funny? Oh, I couldn't take it. The cheesy acting got to me. Okay, so why am I even thinking about stressing blood right now? Well, guess what? Hormones are circulated through the body via what? Blood. We regulate body fluids via the concentration or lack thereof of solutes in blood. Okay? Remember, blood is the solution, which is mainly water. Nice. Feel the veil of embarrassment fall upon him. That's right. Okay, so if we have too much fluid, water, in our bloodstream, okay, so blood is 55% plasma, 45% RBCs, less than 1% white blood cells. It's also called the Buffy coat. Okay, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I know. Okay, but 55% of blood is plasma. 90% of that 55% is water. Water. We're talking about blood. It's water. And so if we have too much water, we could potentially have too much blood pressure. And if we have too much blood pressure, what chemical will we inhibit so that we can go pee? Antidiuretic hormone. Because antidiuretic hormone helps us save water. Now these are theoretical, these are hypothetical, these are just ideas. But antidiuretic hormone helps us save water. Well, where is our water? It's in the blood, it's in the cells. And if you guys haven't heard this, which I believe I told you, if you are a 200-pound person, if you're 200 pounds, 120 pounds of you is water. What? Is water. So it's no surprise that we have a chemical called antidiuretic hormone. Now, obviously, there's a bunch of stuff going on in our body that helps regulate the water. Unbelievably helps regulate nervous impulses. What is the primary chemical that helps us generate an action potential? Is it calcium? Calcium helps us release neurotransmitters. What is the one that generates the action potential? Sodium. Sodium. So what is the hormone that helps us retain sodium? Did you say? What is the hormone? Starts with an A. How about aldosterone? Aldosterone. Okay? Aldosterone is a salt-loving hormone. And because it's a salt-loving hormone, where salt goes, water follows. So now we have this wonderful thing called salt that can actually cause action potentials. It can do all kinds of crazy stuff. It is considered an electrolyte, right? Well, let's find out. This is an electrolyte drink. And it's filled with water and some cool blue color. I'm sure that's going to help me. But let's turn the thing in here to... Oh, there's no fat. I feel great already. Yay. It is one serving size, so I got about 130 calories going on here. It does have some potassium. There's some carbs. Does have some sugar, about 34 grams of sugar. Wow, what is this guy right here? 270 milligrams. 11% of this is sodium. 11% of this is sodium. Interesting. Okay? Interesting how that works. Well, golly. We have these wonderful things called osmoreceptors. And what do you think they do? How about chemoreceptors? You guys remember chemoreceptors? What do chemoreceptors do? Yeah, they test for chemicals in the blood. In the blood, chemoreceptors. So they're going to say, too salty, more water. Not salty enough, less water. That's crazy. Now there are lots of other chemicals that we're going to check, right? CO2, pH balance. Unbelievably, the pH balance on this guy right here, blood, is this. That's the pH for blood. Oh, I mean, we're on the blood chapter, and there's its pH. What is that pH? Is it neutral? It's a little bit basic. It's slightly basic because neutral would be 7. Okay, below 7 would be acidic, and above 7 would be basic. So our blood is 7.35 to 7.45 on the pH scale. That's a pretty narrow area right there. That's a pretty narrow area. And we have receptors that getting a little acidic. Oh, getting a little basic. Sense that in blood. Okay, so we just talked about hormones circulating around the blood. We talked about chemoreceptors, osmoreceptors, okay? How much of something is in the blood? Now, I said there's red blood cells in there and white blood cells in there. Now, what's really crazy about this is we're going to get to the immune system, but we actually draw blood, we spin it down, and we measure it to figure out how much your hematocrit is. How many red blood cells that you have in your body. Can you believe that we can do that in less than 5 minutes? We can spin down your blood and test for hematocrits, your red blood cell level. Okay, women are supposed to have a certain percentage, men are supposed to have a certain percentage. Okay, and we spin it down, and that tells us if you're actually having problems or not. Bleeding-wise, of course, if you start bleeding internally, we can't see it, but we can draw the blood out and spin it down and see if we're missing any. Blood, red blood cells. White blood cells, on the other hand, we can test for those. We have machines that do it really well, okay, called a white blood cell count. And anything right around 10,000, anything right around 10,000, and I'll give you guys all the measurements later on, right around 10,000, that's about normal. Okay, a little bit below, maybe a little bit above. You start getting above that, maybe 12, 13, you could actually have a common cold. You could start getting sick. Okay, and that's all in the blood. Okay, you start getting up near the 20s, and your nurses and doctors start to panic. I know for sure that I would too. As a tech in the hospital, I would start to panic. I'd be like, oh, okay, blood count, white blood count up towards 20s. Yeah, that's crazy. The highest white blood cell count I've ever seen was 70,000. Okay? The person looked like a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. They had so much fluid in their body because their body was trying to fight off a systemic infection. Okay? 70,000. Unfortunately, they died. 70,000. Normal's 10. 12, you might be getting sick. 20, we might start panicking. 70,000. Okay? Needless to say, he did die. He died. So, the blood. We can do all of this from the blood. Now, the downside is the blood can also carry infectious diseases around in us. Okay? Virus can get in. If any bacteria or virus gets into your bloodstream, you're in a world of hurt. Okay? You're going downhill really super quick. Now, if it's just in a general area, okay, influenza B mainly attacks the cells of your throat. Not a big deal. They can circulate around, but for the most part, as long as they stay right here and don't go into the lungs, we can fight it off. Our bodies are pretty good about fighting off influenza B. But if it gets into the bloodstream, oh dear. Now, interestingly enough, we're going to circulate, because we need blood for this area, we're going to circulate our immune system that area to actually help out. And that's what happens with blood too. Okay, blood pressure, the movements of nutrients to the liver, okay, throughout the body. It's amazing. Where do we have a time? Nice, right where I'm supposed to be. It's amazing what blood can do for us, what it can do for us. Okay, so no, you didn't need your slides today because I didn't actually click through any slides, so Louisa. Okay, but I'd like you guys to read ahead. We will start blood on Monday. We will be moving through it pretty quick. Right? Nothing crazy going on this weekend, so I would say just go ahead and study the endocrine system. Study the endocrine system because we have a test on Wednesday of next week. Weekly schedule's already out. Any questions? All right. Have a good day.